many marshmallows do you think you could fit in your mouth while still saying Veronica Mars?
A long time ago, we used to be friends, but I...
No, whoa, chill. It's just a mask. See?
Half of doing the, 4-hour sleep.
Yeah, I really, really wish I could sleep that long, but I can't. I physically cannot. Don't ask me why. It doesn't make any freaking sense, but it is what it is. So 2 things I want to cover over today. One is, of course, what I texted you about, Miss V. Mars. And 2 would be the trailer that I have silently cried about, openly cried about. Those are my 2 big ones.
Oh, the Ninja Turtles trailer you must be talking about.
Yeah. So I figure that should get us on about an hour of ranting, and stuff, and just to sit here. By the way, I went on ahead and started recording this because, envy in my voice is always a lovely sound.
All right, fair enough.
Now, I don't know if there was anything in particular you wanted to talk about prior to those 2, because I'm fairly positive if Corey shows up, he's got an opinion, which is understandable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's the one that got me on Veronica Mars.
Oh, yeah,
so.
same. And I almost missed it. I was really, really surprised. I don't know if it actually hit a regular theater here. I wouldn't say it hit a second run theater either. It hit the alternative theaters, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
it came out middle of this month, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact release date, but it's only been a few weeks.
Like March 14th.
At most, yeah.
March 14th was supposed to be the release date. And I was doing an email for one of the clients, which happens to be a theater in North Carolina. And they were showing Veronica Mars. I'm like, oh my god, that already came out? Where the hell have I been? Because I hadn't heard any promo. No one on Facebook said they were going to go see it. So, and apparently a bunch of people have already seen it. But
yeah, it's right now it's kind of struggling to make the money they wanted it to make.
It made its money on, like, everybody's already been paid. Like, Kickstarter took care of that.
Well, yeah, but they wanted it to make a handful of extra money to constitute getting a sequel.
Oh, I didn't realize they were going to go for a sequel. I thought they were just going to, like, kind of end it as is. But they're going to have all their stuff in DVD sales.
Well, I mean, you can definitely look at the ending of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
As spoiler-free as I can be right now, because I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't had a chance to see it, because it is still really new.
Yeah,
it's definitely set up in the mode for her to be basically going on her quest to save Neptune, more or less, at the end of the movie.
Yeah, with her in charge of the Mars industry.
Investigations, yeah.
So overall, let's just place a spoiler alert thing here that if you don't want to hear about the movie, tough shit. I try not and reveal too much, I guess. Like when you mentioned to me that someone dies, a side character, but somebody who's been there kind of the entire show.
Yeah.
I was like, who the fuck is it? Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, you're gonna die. No, you're not gonna die. You're gonna die. No. Part of me wanted Dick to die. Dick doesn't die.
No, not Dick, man. Dick's
just because,
Dick's the best comedy relief.
That would have hit
I'm never calling
hard.
boobs anything other than hoobly booblies now. just because of Dick.
Hoobly booblies. Although, at the beginning of that movie is a new a fuck you or a new flick off that I have never seen before. When she puts on the middle finger like lipstick.
Oh yeah.
Never seen that one before. That was that was like the best fuck you I think I've seen in a long time.
I also thought it was really clever when she goes out on the like fake date thing and they're in the club.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was clever for them to sneak her husband into the film and have her shut him down.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Yeah, because she's married to Dax Shepard.
Oh, okay.
And when he's like doing his goofy dance trying to hit on her, and she's just like fake vomiting.
that movie was surprisingly a lot funnier. It was a lot better than I was expecting it to be. A straight, a 3 seasons in a movie type of thing. Wasn't expecting it too good. Like, it's not Firefly. Joss Whedon wasn't behind it, so I'm not expecting like the best thing on the planet.
I don't know. I had high hopes for it, and I feel like I wasn't disappointed.
Absolutely agree with you. I do feel my only downside to the entire movie is it feels like a really, 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 really long episode, or like they jam 3 episodes together into 1 episode, and it felt a little campy at times where it's just like, oh, this is a TV show and not so much of a like theatrical thing, you know? Does that make sense?
I don't view that as a weakness. If they made it too much like a movie, I feel like it would have moved. I feel like it would have moved too far away from the show to please fans of the show. So I think it. I think it walked. I think it walked the line about as best as it could for being a 2 hour, hour and 45-minute long movie.
Although I think they literally got every character from the show back in it. Everybody who at least had like some sort of presence was in that movie.
Yeah, I mean they got a lot of them back. I was pretty impressed. And
they revised their roles fairly diligently. Miss Mars. Although the guy playing Sheriff, what's his name? What's the actor's name?
Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah. Where the fuck did he come from? Like, he turned into a bigger douchebag than the previous.
Oh yeah, the previous Lamb brother that got killed with a baseball bat in like season 2.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is what happened to him. But he turned in like they had his character like a little over the top with douche factor. And a little upset that the guy that, or the character that was killed, they never did anything about who killed him. If they did, I missed it.
That's what they set the rest of the series up for. There is a book that they've got that just came out that takes place after the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a chance to read that. I think Kate has ordered it, but
are they trying to universe it? Kind of like how Firefly or Serenity is? Or
yeah, I guess. I don't know, like, if they make a sequel to the movie, I don't know if it'll be that book, or if they'll do it after the book and ignore the book, or if it'll be after the book and you'll probably want to have read the book. I don't really know what their goal for that is at the moment, but
yeah. Which, I really enjoyed that intro. I think there's a fine line with TV shows that get their movie and bringing it up at the very beginning, like to catch everyone up that has never watched the show. I think it did a fairly good job of it. It was quick, it was simple, you didn't need to know a whole lot. Unfortunately, you don't feel like any of the love that people who know the characters do. So I think it did a slightly poor job of trying to set some of those boundaries. but then again, still did a good job. Like, that is a lot of characters to try and get people to be like, oh, this one's important, and this one's important, and this one's important.
Yeah, I think they did about as good a job as you could summing up 3 seasons worth of material for people that didn't watch it.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, and I think that's part of the reason it's not pulling in money hand over fist in the theater, is that it is a movie that does require you. It's a little different from like Serenity. Serenity, you could go in and have no idea about the television show, and that's still a pretty enjoyable movie to watch. And Veronica Mars is a fun little mystery movie to watch, but you get so much more out of it if you have seen the show.
True. I also feel
all the little callback jokes and everything make more sense.
Yeah, I also feel that it didn't get promoted, like, hardly at all.
Well, I mean, that's probably a budgetary thing. I mean, they raised their money on Kickstarter, so they didn't have a studio giving them like, $100 million to make a movie.
They made enough to be able to throw like $500,000 at advertising. I never saw anything about it's coming out online.
I mean, half a million doesn't really buy you much.
It does.
Much national advertising. I've seen ads for it all over the internet. I've not seen very many
I haven't seen jack squat, and it might be.
I've not seen very many print ads or very many. Well, I don't know. I live in a different sector of the country. The ironic thing is, I've seen more ads than you, but there are no theaters near me that have it.
Okay, so it was on not the alternate run theater list with you as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically. And I think, I guess because it's not like a major release as far as like a studio didn't pump $200 million behind it or anything, is part of it. But I feel like it's such a movie that would cater to the hipsters that the hipsters would demand it be in their theaters. But
yeah, I mean, the beautiful nuance joke. What the sheriff that has the mustache? What's his name? Oh fuck. Anyway, the comment
the deputy Sachs.
Yeah, Sachs. The comment she makes at him when she sees him again for the first time, she's like, Sachs,
way to rock the mustache until he comes back in style.
It was beautiful. It was a great setup, and I mean, it's a good joke, period. But it helps with people who do know the show, because he had that stupid mustache the entire time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he had the mustache. Don't hate on Sachs. But
I don't hate on Sachs. The mustache, man, the mustache.
But yeah, I mean, the closest theater that has it's like way the fuck out from me. It would be hard to get there.
Well, and I'm glad
I might try to make the trip just because. But
yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've done my part to support the movie. I bought a digital copy on Amazon to watch, and which surprisingly was more expensive than the Blu-ray I had pre-ordered. For anybody out there who would like to pre-order it, if it's still cheap, like I got it on Amazon, it was $15. It's one of the cheapest Blu-rays I've purchased brand new.
Oh wow!
And it comes with a digital copy, so. Yeah, Ultraviolet and Blu-ray for $15.
Yeah, I might actually pick up that DVD or the Blu-ray just for, because they pack that thing full of extras and stuff like that.
I was pretty pleased with who she ends up with by the end of the movie.
I if there is a sequel, I don't think that is the end of it.
I don't know. I feel like the show was setting that up, and I feel like the show never got to complete it. I felt like her relationship with Logan.
Oh.
I feel like that was a work in progress they were going towards the whole time, and that like really you wanted the character arc of both of them to kind of meet in the middle eventually.
Yeah.
because they kept breaking up because they,
Because he's
things would
crazy
get better,
and
but then they'd
she's
still
crazy.
both have like personality defects that clash. But here it's been the nine years it would take both of them to become somewhat functioning adults. Like here he is, he's joined the Air Force and he's a JAG officer. I mean,
But he's still
he's
not
a-
a functioning adult.
he's a much better person. Like, okay, think about it. Like he does in the television series. Like even when they're dating and you kind of like him. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people that just hated him the whole time on the show, but like he does some kind of dick things. I mean, in this movie, he does no dick things. The only thing he does, like, that's maybe not super mature is when they have the video up at the reunion and he starts punching people. But
True.
technically, everybody gets in on that.
Well,
I mean,
I
even
love the
even
fact-
Wallace, you're like, oh hey, Wallace is the smart one. He's going to go take out the projector, and then Wallace comes down and gets into it too.
Yeah, so it pops up and Logan loses his shit and just, I forget who he grabs, but he starts wailing on somebody. And I know it's of relevance. I think it was that girl's husband, because I think he was sitting behind her when Veronica first walked in.
Yeah, I think it's one of those guys.
Yeah, so he decks the shit out of him. Then there's this small brawl on Logan. And who was it that jumps in next?
Piz jumps in
No,
next.
not Piz. The biker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Eli.
Eli comes in and just there was a part of me that was just like, yay, Logan and Eli, like that's your duo. You want to see mayhem? You put those two in a crowd of people and watch it happen. And then Piz jumps in.
Piz jumps in, and then
Dick's
then
standing there.
fucking
He's like, hold this.
Dick finishes his drink and he jumps in.
It was
Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah, the fight scene was kind of good.
And
I liked that.
And that was that moment where, especially with Dick jumping in, because Wallace would throw down, but he also works for Neptune High, so he has to be semi-careful. But
And I loved after the fight and after she's like ended the fight with the fucking water sprinkler system. I loved the old principal coming in, and I guess he's like school superintendent or something now. But I love him coming in, and she's just like, "Did you miss me?"
he's like, "It's been a lot quieter in the past 9 years, but it's been boring." Yeah, that whole scene made me really happy. Minus her decking the chick, I thought that was really actually the worst part out of that entire scene. But you're right, Dick there for comedic value is fantastic. Because he's just, Logan, it's that girl that follows you around.
He gets everybody. That's one of the things I always liked about Veronica Mars is it has each character that has humor brings different kinds of humor. Like Logan, probably not so much now since they've like matured his character. He used to have that like smarmy humor, and Veronica has that like quick-witted, dry sarcasm. But Dick has just like the goofy, like sexist, doofy, like bro humor.
Oh yeah,
which is perfect for comedy relief.
And his, even with everything involving his brother, and if you haven't watched the show by now, go fuck yourself. So spoiler on that too, because it was his brother that raped Veronica, right?
Yeah, you find out.
Yeah, you find out that's a season.
Well,
2
yeah,
thing.
like you think you find out early on in the show in season 1. You think you find out that it was Duncan and that it wasn't really a rape, that it was.
Consensual.
They were both really drunk.
And then she realizes that she has chlamydia. And
like the whole time you're like, well, how did I get that? And then come to find out the pedophile mayor dude had chlamydia, and it's like, wait a minute, and then you find out he had messed around with Dick's little brother, and she puts 2 and 2 together, and it's like, aha!
And
he's a creepy guy.
Yeah, Dick is so shut off from reality Like, he understands that it's happening to him, but he is the quintessential, like, I'm rich, I give no fucks. Zero fucks are given, so I'm gonna get drunk, get high, and go surf. That's it. And that's how I'm gonna spend the rest of my days. Which, honestly, with how all the characters panned out, his lack of trying to be an adult was very appropriate for his character. You kind of would have assumed maybe there might have been a few more that they would have brought to the front, but honestly, everyone that had a major role, he's the only one that wouldn't have been like, I need to go get a job. I need to do something with my life. He's like, fuck it.
There were two things about the movie that disappointed me, and one that made me sad. One that made me sad is the side character they kill, which I won't say on this episode because I don't want to spoil that.
Me neither.
That made me sad. I mean, he's not a major character, and he didn't really bring much to the table, but he was always there.
Yeah, he was always there. He was a fundamental character for the most part. Like, he played a fairly important role when he showed up. But aside from that, like, it just, like, that happens. Like, I saw the whole setup starting, and I'm like, oh shit, but oh no. Because at first I thought it was a major character at that point. And I'm like, no, but Chris said it was a side character. So, oh no.
Yeah,
no.
I would have given you a little more warning if it had been
if it had been a major character, I would have just said stop talking, because that is something I wanted to surprise. I thought it was going to be like a wash situation, where it would be a character that you do kind of love a lot, and you don't realize how much you love that character until they're gone.
It's story-wise, a couple, or well, maybe a few things kind of disappointed me, but I could see that they didn't really have the time to devote to like fleshing it out.
Yeah.
Wasn't
that like a 2-hour movie?
They don't really do a whole lot to explain why Wallace is a coach at Neptune High when the last time we see him, he was doing a pretty good job of going through his mechanical engineering school. So I feel kind of disappointed that they didn't explain how he washed out. Like, maybe it had something to do with Veronica leaving him and going off to Stanford.
Well,
I don't know. I wish they had fleshed that out more, because like I feel like
it had something to do with the last few episodes of the whole show. Because remember, they were trying to get him in that club.
Oh, yeah, in the castle.
Yeah, and he was a sports star in the show, and he just might have switched careers.
They might have done things to ruin his life, shut down his career pathway. I mean, but still, you see what I'm saying? They don't really do anything to explain like what happened to him.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's like, hey, I'm conveniently here coaching basketball at our old high school because the plot needs me to be here. Yeah. I feel like they didn't do enough to explain that, and they could have. Like with Mac, it makes sense. At least they put her at a software place. I mean, making tons of money.
Yeah, and she works for the Canes.
Yeah, but hers kind of made sense. I didn't like, and I mean, I guess it makes sense for the plot, but like, I was finally happy for Eli, and I don't like where he ends up at the end of the movie. Eli.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not disappointed with where he ends in the movie, just because, like, the whole thing is set up, and spoiler alert, he gets shot, and that sets some things back into motion. Especially because Veronica's now back in town, she needs her bodyguards, and Eli was her muscle.
This is true, but like, you're really happy for him when you find out he has a wife and a kid, and that he's working the straight.
But as they alluded to at the very beginning of the movie, Neptune has gone very, very, very far down. So Veronica coming in and trying to straighten up Neptune a little bit, like, what's probably going to happen is her dad, if let's say that two more movies come out, by the end of the third movie, her dad's going to be back in sheriff's position, and Eli will be going back to his family, and Veronica will be Mars Investigation, or maybe she'll go be a lawyer again. But it's just kind of how that entire
I feel
thing
like-
was
I feel like
setting
her-
up.
Yeah, I feel like her pathway would probably be that once she's done what she needs to do the dirty way, she would probably pass her bar and like work as a lawyer.
Yeah. Because like just hands down the town has gotten bad. The fact that when to show how bad the town has gotten, you've got Veronica and her dad sitting there watching some cops beat the shit out of some guys who have spray cans. So it's gotten pretty awful overall. And they allude that something's going to go down with the main sheriff, but the sheriff hasn't been kicked out of office yet. People are just calling for his badge. So there's a whole revenge plot there and making her life miserable and shit like that. So I can see a couple of ways that this could go. But overall, like, I'm not disappointed.
The last,
especially with Eli.
yeah, I'm not. I mean, like, these aren't huge gripes that I have. They're just
Right.
minor things that I would either have liked more, or I just, they make me kind of sad. Especially if this is like the last thing we ever see.
Yeah.
If they're not able to make a sequel.
The thing
But
with,
the last
Wallace,
point of contention I have,
Uh-huh.
and then I'll follow it with something I thought was incredibly awesome because I haven't talked about it yet. The last point of contention is that I really I don't know what the nature of the relationship between her and Piz is. Like, I don't know if they were together that whole 9 years. I kind of doubt it because 9 years is a really long time for two people to be together and then just end it the way it ends in the movie.
Yeah.
So I kind of doubt they were together the whole 9 years, but I would have liked a little more explanation on how long they had been seeing each other. Because
they alluded to they had been together a while, but she had been bouncing around all over the place, in and out of school, and that they were they were kind of meeting when they could. So I could see that 9 years is possible, but with constant contact, I don't think that's what was going on. I think it was more of I'm seeing this guy.
I mean, it's pretty obvious to anybody with a brain or fans that just kind of wanted to see the relationship go back with her and Logan, that was going to happen in the movie, but it feels kind of
Spoiler alert, they
because I mean, she, spoilers, she's with Piz at the beginning of the movie, she ain't with Piz at the end of the movie.
There's only one other person that she really loves, and they kind of show you that in the trailer. So,
I mean, there's Duncan too, but I feel like there's no tidy way to bring him back into the plot because he's hiding out the country on a kidnapping charge.
Which I think if that might be a part of a second movie is bringing Duncan back, because he did.
Because if she passes her bar and becomes a lawyer, she can find a way to get him off on that and have him come back.
Well, and there's a statute of limitations too.
Not on kidnap. That's one of the things they actually mention in the thing. They're like, "There's no statute of limitations on kidnapping."
Oh right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll be. Yeah, I mean he's gone for good unless they find a way to get that charge off of him.
Or maybe
which her being a lawyer is doable.
That would probably be it. Is she's got to either she's hired. No. Another bounty hunter is hired to go find him, and she catches wind that Duncan's been found, and now she has to get to him before this other guy. I could see it going very much in that direction.
I don't know. I think it would be pretty hard to find him. He's obviously still got money and connections just because of what happens to Logan's dad when he gets off.
Yeah. But
I just that's one of my favorite scenes in that whole season. Then you just see the guy do the phone call after he shot Aaron Eccles.
Oh right.
And you see Logan on the other phone. He's like, all right.
You mean Duncan on the other line?
Oh yeah, Duncan. Yeah, Duncan's like, all right.
Yeah, I had forgotten on how funny Keith Mars is, that character.
Oh yeah.
because I went back and watched the first. Started watching the seasons again, and the first episode, he is fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, he has moments of brilliance throughout the series. Like just he's got such great goofy humor, and I love him. I love him so much. Like he's great in Galaxy Quest. I kind of got into his show that he was on, and it's still called, like I think they still play it on Ion, but I don't think it's shooting new episodes. Flashpoint.
Right. Yes.
He's not as comedic on that, but I love him, and I wish he was in more stuff.
In the first episode, he makes this. He had just picked up a bounty. It was a $2,500 payout, and he hands the check over to Veronica, and he's like, "It's we're not having like rice and beans tonight." And makes another joke about having something funny, and then he dances off, going da 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 da, and then steps back and he's like, "No, seriously, we're having steak, right? Yeah, okay." And then leaves, and it was perfect delivery on everything, and it gives a huge insight on the character.
Yeah.
And the fact that the entire movie, or the entire show, there's always that play between Veronica and her dad about how, like, it's a film noir, and it's like, this blonde walked in. She gave me that look, and I knew what was going on. Like, they outwardly talk about inner monologues. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of the cheesy detective humor from him, which is what I like. The cheesing on the fact that it is a detective show.
I love her little joke in the movie on. I've got a million of these lawyer jokes. How many private eye jokes do you got? That's what I thought. Because he's sitting there.
Nobody says private dick anymore, Dad.
He's sitting there, and everyone, he's pulling the part where he's trying to think of one. But I guarantee you, including myself, everyone in that theater that was watching that scene goes, "Good question. I don't know a private eye joke." I thought that was wonderful. And I wonder if it's one of those things that happened to show up like in the writer's room while they were sitting down, and it's like, "Okay, we need a private eye joke right here." That's the joke.
Wait, that's the joke. We don't have any. The one thing that I absolutely loved about the movie, is, and because like, I know a lot of people just hate him, they can't stand the guy, but I love James Franco, especially when James Franco is playing himself in movies, and he just does such a good job of this like characterization of himself in the movie. It's not quite as good as like the fake James Franco from This Is the End, but it's pretty damn close, and it's so gold.
It was very, very, very wonderful, and I thought that was a really clever way to bring that character back into relevance, just for that scene. Or
you're talking about Vinnie Van Lowe?
Yep.
I mean, they had to find a way to bring as many people as they could back. I was surprised they got Leo back in, because he's on that show New Girl. I figured he'd be kind of busy, but
Leo, which one's Leo? Fuck.
The old sheriff department guy that she used to date.
Oh, right. That chick was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, you used to bring me." He's like, "I don't know who you are." And you used to bring me pizza.
The worst part is,
and then she like whips the pizza out.
Well, the worst part is I was sitting there and I'm watching this thing happen, and I'm like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" She dated. Oh, right. There was that period, but they played it as in like he is a forgettable part of her past.
Yeah. I felt like he was going to have a bigger role later on if they got to continue the series, because Keith got him his job back at the station, and
I agree that if there is more, he's a bigger role.
And he's a good actor too. He's hilarious on New. I don't know if you've ever watched New Girl, but it's a funny show.
I've seen parts of it, and some of it makes me really happy, and some of it makes me really sad.
It's one of those that you have to like. you kind of have to watch them consecutively because some of the jokes do build on themselves. But it is by and large it follows a similar formula to Big Bang where you can just kind of like skip episodes and you're okay.
Oh, right. Like the biggest deal that I understand is, like with Big Bang, like there's apparently been a relationship between two of the characters, but it has recently come to fruition. So.
Yeah, Big Bang. Like the only thing that kind of like changes with the times is who's dating who. Like,
Yeah.
and the same on New Girl. They kind of like build up the relationship between Nick and Jess, but it like each episode is kind of its own thing. But some of the jokes do build on each other. Not quite as masterfully as like the slap bet or anything from How I Met Your Mother, but
Yeah,
no,
well-
he's great on that. He plays like their super obsessive compulsive roommate, and he's awesome on that. So I'll plug that show too.
Nice. Overall, like I went before I went and saw it. I wanted to see what the internet had to say about it. It gave it I think Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 7.7 or a 77%, which means it's fresh and made me pleased that as an overall the rating for it was like, it's not a phenomenal movie, it's not a terrible movie, it's good though, you should watch it, sort of thing. And I was really happy to see that. After this conversation now, I'm more for the fact that I think it's about an 8 out of a 10. And the 8 comes from the fact that I have love for the show. If I didn't have love for the show, I would still give it a 7 out of 10. Like, in general, it is just a good movie. It's fun. It's something you put on to watch and enjoy it. And I think it probably has excellent rewatchability, too, even though you know the ending.
Yeah, I mean it's just like the show. You watch it for the humor when you rewatch it. Yeah. Right now, Rotten Tomatoes at 77% for critics. It's 93% for the audience, though, which is, that says a lot. The audience has love for it. Granted, most of the people that have watched it and reviewed it were probably fans of the show, so that's probably why. But 77%, a lot of people they look at Rotten Tomatoes and they think 77's a meh score because they. That's the problem I have when I look at Rotten Tomatoes is I tend to think of it as like a gradient, like you would get a grade in a class. Like 100 is what you want, but that's not. With movies, it's not like that. Some of the best movies on Rotten Tomatoes only ever get like 80%.
Well, right,
because there are always critics out there that will find fault with.
Well, right. I feel
some things.
I feel that if you're going to follow the 10-point scale, you kind of have to look at the explanation of the 10-point scale in Game Informer. Basically, 1 through 5 is crap. If you've hit a 5, you haven't done anything new. You've done something everyone's seen before, and it might work correctly. Other than that, good job for creating something that's already been done. A 6 is slightly better than that, but basically from 6 and forward, it's trying to be better than the plain average. So when you hit
if something's a 6, that's something you might want to look for a score elsewhere or see what other people have liked.
Yeah.
Because if it's gotten at least a 6, that means there's a chance that there's something in the gameplay that you'll enjoy that maybe the person that reviewed it didn't like.
Yeah, but the 6 normally comes from what I can see is you've tried to do something and you dropped the ball. It doesn't change the fact that the game is still playable. It's the fact that you tried to do this awesome thing and you dropped it on its head. A 7 is more of a safety feature. It's like you created a good game, good job, but you didn't create anything special.
Yeah.
And from that point, that I would say 7 and forward is where you're looking, because 8, 9, and 10. I mean, 10 is just, hey, thanks for making my life better. A 9 is, you made my life pretty good, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed this other thing. An 8 is, this is a really good game. There are things that are better, there are things that are a lot worse, but I really enjoy it. A 7's like, I can leave or take it, but if I have something for this, then I will enjoy it more. And that's how I feel about a 7's overall. Like the first Silent Hill movie. I love that movie. I don't give a shit what anyone says. I think that movie's actually ridiculously good for what it is. I think it's a great adaptation of the Silent Hill franchise into a movie format. I think they went a little overboard with the intensity factor, but then again, it is still very Silent Hill-esque. And overall, I think it's a good movie. Do I think it's a 10? No, but it would fall in the 7-8 range for me. A lot of people give it a 6, 7. They're like, that movie's crap. It has no plot. It has no this. I think the creators of it based much on the fact that the people watching it would already know some of the backstory.
I would probably give it a 5 out of 10.
Really? You didn't like?
Yeah,
it that much?
I couldn't stand the first Silent Hill movie, and I watched the second one. The second one would be like a 3.
The second one is a 3. The first one though, I really love it.
Here's something I wanted to touch on before I close the window on the browser. For people that are sitting on the fence on whether or not they should go see Veronica Mars, like maybe you've not seen the series or whatever, and the 77% score doesn't entice you exactly on Rotten Tomatoes, I'll tell you what, that 77% is higher than, in case you're considering seeing some of these other movies. Noah is sitting at 76%. Bad Words is at 65. Sabotage is at 22. Cesar Chavez is at 40%. Divergent is at 40%. 300 Rise of an Empire is at 42. Need for Speed is at 23%. Nonstop is at 59%. And The Single Moms Club is at 17%. So if you're considering seeing any of those other movies, Veronica Mars has got a better score. So, just
Bad
saying.
Words looks fucking hilarious.
Which one?
Bad Words.
Bad Words does look hilarious, and 65% still a pretty decent score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, for Rotten Tomatoes. For what Rotten Tomatoes is, yeah, that's a good score. But
it's still fresh. It's got the red tomato and not the green splatty one.
Yeah,
so.
I even checked IMDb, and the overall ranking for Veronica Mars was still in the 7s. It was like a 7.3, I think, when I checked it.
Yeah.
But I'm very pleased that movie is as good as it is. Thank you, everyone at Kickstarter. I feel really bad that I didn't
find out it was on Kickstarter until like after it had closed.
Yeah, same here. Because I would have thrown at least $5 in. Yes. If there was an option for like $20 get a movie set T-shirt, so would have done that. I would rock the shit out of Veronica Mars. Have what is her name? Kristen Bell? Yeah, all over my chest. Just like, yeah, rubbing these nipples. I know.
Hey, here's an interesting plug for you because I saw him posted on Tumblr. But Dean Tripp, the guy that did Something Terrible, at least, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He has in that final shot of them of the kid inside the TARDIS with all the superheroes. Mm-hmm. Veronica Mars is in there.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, he's got her in there.
Nice. Well, he's writing
because it was right about the time the movie came out, and he like posted it and had zoomed in on the part of the picture that she's in. I was like, yes, it's a V Mars because she is a superhero.
Yeah, no, she is. He's been writing like 30 additional pages for the Kickstarter and getting it published. I'm waiting for my copy to come in.
Yeah, I think they're coming in like June.
Yeah, because he wasn't expecting the support to be as big as it was because it was only supposed to be a paperback, and now it's going to be a hardback. I think they're doing a softback and a hardback for shelving, but everyone who bought at least a hard copy of the book is getting a hardcover of it. And I bought the hardcover, a signed hardcover. So, and everybody's getting 30 additional pages. So, yay.
Yeah, I kicked in. I think I kickstarted the like $40 package that gets you 2 of them or something like that.
Yeah, I only did the $25 one because I wanted a hardcover book. Like that book is.
I have a professor that I think would really dig it. That's why I did the $40. So I could get him a copy too.
Yeah, I personally think that book is one of the first books that has been written in a long time that is going to have more power than anyone realizes. Because it's short, it's simple, it gets to the point, and it touches, surprisingly, on more people than we're willing to recognize.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, there's And for anybody interested in that type of thing, I'm new to that type of graphic novel, the autobiographical graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one by Alison Bechdel called Fun Home. And I think I've mentioned
I've heard
it before.
about
That one's really good, and she just had another one come out that I think is about her mother. But yeah, that's a. Oh hey, I just noticed the Lego Movie still has 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, the Lego Movie.
It had 100% for a little while. I was so proud because hardly any movies ever have 100% for as long as the Lego Movie had.
Well, it had
that 100% for like a week and a half.
It has a 90. What'd you say? 96%.
It's still 97%. 97% is obscene. The Grand Budapest Hotel has a 91, and that's something that you should be proud of.
Well,
but the Lego Movie is still sitting pretty on its 97%.
The 97%. If you look at at how many people have reviewed it, that's the mind blower. It's like it has 300 reviews or something crazy like that.
Yeah, and it's still 97. Exactly. It is. That's obscene. I think the Lego Movie might take Best Animated.
I really hope it does.
At the Oscars.
It is a surprisingly amazing movie. I think it's a lot more than anyone had anticipated, and it does an excellent. Like, I get all the comments about like best commercial ever made. I get that, but in general, as a way to represent a kid's imagination and how sporadic it is and how they think and all that, it was a wonderful way of displaying that. Wonderful way.
I don't really get that it's. I mean, technically everything's a fucking commercial if you want to put it that way. I mean, I think that's just an incredibly cynical way to look at the movie. I mean, the douchebags that do that type of shit, they don't pay attention when they're watching their, like, circle jerk action movies. Like, oh, wait, why is every car in this movie a fucking Ford? Oh, okay, because it's a commercial for Ford. I mean, whatever. Like, if somebody's going to call the Lego Movie a commercial, they just, like, that instantly, that means, oh, you have nothing of value that I want to hear. Shut up. Like, I don't want to hear your review of this movie because you've instantly, like, taken it to a place that it didn't really need to go.
Well, and I absolutely get
because
that.
I'm essentially, like, that's like saying, well, instead of attacking the merits of this film as a film, I'm just gonna complain that it's a Lego movie. Of course, it's gonna have Legos in it. Like,
well, and
what the fuck? I mean, what do you expect?
It's a
Ninja
Lego
Turtles
movie
is a commercial for Ninja Turtles. I mean,
the Lego Movie is going to have toys that go with it. It's going to be there will be Lego based stuff coming out of it.
And that's just the nature of the beast. Any kids movie has toys nowadays.
Not to mention, like, if you want a decently budgeted movie, you need to get some sort of outside sponsor in. The fact that you could get Lego to back you to make this movie, awesome! Everything is awesome. Which I hate that song. Fucking hate that song.
But yeah, no, like I don't know. When people come at a movie from that angle, that instantly tells me that there's nothing of value that they have to say about the movie.
And a lot of those people.
I mean, like I can make that same complaint about the Transformers movie because GM backed the Transformers movie, so every car and. See, at least in the Lego Movie, you're in a Lego universe. The kid is playing with Legos in the movie. So it makes sense for all of the things you see to be Legos. But wait, at least they branch out. At least there's real world shit like crazy glue and nail polish remover and shit like that gets brought into it. Like, you watch the first two, like, Transformers movies. And I didn't really pay enough attention because by the third one I just didn't care anymore. But watch the first two Transformers movies. The scenes where they're on the highway and there's all these cars. Every single one of them is a GM vehicle. How true to... Get on the freeway right now. Is every car a GM vehicle? Fucking no. There's Toyotas and Hyundais and Fords. And it's just like, it's so untrue to life that it fucking jarred me. All those scenes in the Transformers movie that every car is a fucking GM. But I'm not going to make that the reason that I attack the movie. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, this is a commercial for GM, because I realize that that's where they got their financial backing. And it is really annoying if you notice it, but
I don't think
and
it
for those
was
people that are about to
strong
say,
enough.
"Oh no, you're wrong, Chris. There are other cars that are not GM." Yeah, I'm aware. There's the police car that's a Mustang that has like no Ford branding on it, by the way, and that like some of the bad guys are tanks and helicopters. Ooh, those aren't GM. But
They
yeah,
might
like
be,
every
actually.
other major fucking Autobot is a GM. Like every car on a freeway is a GM. Every car driven by the government people is a GM.
Basically, if it's a good guy car, it's a GM. If it's going to get destroyed, or if it is a Decepticon,
Like the
it's not.
bad guy, the Decepticons, they're all like jets and helicopters and like things that look like weird animal scorpions. It just, like Scorponok and shit. Like, yeah, I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
so speaking of Transformers and the fact that we've got roughly about 10 minutes on this,
yeah.
fucking Ninja Turtles trailer. My first thought was, it's Transformers. Because that trailer looks like a goddamn Transformers trailer. I love...
Actually, it looks worse than a Transformers trailer. I'll get into it. But keep going.
Now, for anyone who doesn't understand my love of the Ninja Turtles, I love them. They are my Batman. They are my Superman. They are that one superhero that I clung to, and I'm like, you make sense. And it's really weird because that I would cling to that because they live in the most fucked up and imaginative universe that's ever entered comic books that I know of. Because everything almost feels like it was pulled out of a Gwar show. But it's wonderful, and I love it. And I love when you sit down and you look at the Turtles, you don't go, well, how does this work in real life? You're like, I'm in the Turtles universe, everything makes sense. And you have to believe that. If you try and put that in reality, no. It's not going to work. The worst or the best part about it is there's already been 4 movies that did an excellent job of putting the Turtles in a realistic environment. Turtles 1, Turtles 2, Turtles 3 never happened. TMNT and Turtles Forever. And Turtles Forever was completely animated. In the sense of like hand drawn and stuff like that. The Turtles, the TMNT movie may have been digitally animated, but it was an excellent spin on bringing in a modern existence to the Turtles.
I really enjoyed TMNT, and it didn't ignore the other movies.
No,
which was what I liked about it. I liked that they're like, they killed Shredder, and this is Shredder's daughter. And
in Turtles 1, it was just a nice doing on how the Turtles would work in reality. It did have the late 80s, early 90s feel to it because like a punk looks like a punk back in the 90s where they've got like the ridiculous shades and spiked ass hair and the most flamboyant colors you could ever put on a human being. Okay, so that part's a little funny, and no one dies really in the movie because like we can't actually stab people, we can pretend stab or like foot kick them, but overall that movie still stands up. Turtles 2 became so important that TGRI became part of the Turtles universe. Like it, as far as I remember, it did not exist until that movie. Because Turtles,
I don't think it did. I'm not big on the comics as you are. So
I haven't read all the comics. Like they make mention that the ooze happened in order to help create them. But as far as I remember, TGRI was never mentioned as the company that created the ooze until Turtles 2. And then a bunch of the story has been adjusted to incorporate that. It's kind of like Harley Quinn in the Batman universe. Like, she didn't exist until
the animated series.
And then
kind of like the character Morph from the X-Men series. He was never in the comics until until he popped up on the animated X-Men.
And then it has expanded to that point. So... And I will give the new trailer this much for sticking with TGRI and the fact that it is respecting that part of the Turtles universe. And they've alluded to like they're not aliens, thank God, but they are a creation. I'm actually halfway okay with that. I think that was a really smart way to adjust the history of it
Oh, because initially they were going to be aliens, and I'm really glad that that did not end up being the case.
Well, and I'm glad that that perceivably Shredder has created the turtles. I think that's really smart. Like, a scientist happened to create, instead of there were some turtles in a sewer and some ooze got dropped on them.
Except it makes it needlessly complicated. Like, okay, he's an evil ninja mastermind, but he's also like some kind of fucking biogeneticist. Like,
I haven't
what?
even gotten to that part yet. Number one, I don't know if you caught it, but I think the trailer...
they vaguely make mention of April O'Neil's father helping him make the turtles. But that also makes it sound like Splinter could be her father, which would be really fucking disturbing.
Yes.
Here's my quickie rundown of problems I'm going to have based on that trailer, and they may be perceived problems that could be fixed later on on actually watching the movie or seeing a better trailer that's not a teaser. Quickie problem number one. I really don't, and this is a problem I've had since I found out, I really don't like Megan Fox's April O'Neil. April O'Neil is a character to me that sits on the echelon that like Lois Lane does, where you need an actor that can sell me the fact that she's an awesome reporter, and Megan Fox just can't sell me that. I don't.
TMNT
there are things I think
of
Megan
updating
Fox
her.
can do, and I don't think Megan Fox is going to convince me that she's a top-notch reporter. I just don't think she's going to be able to sell it. And I don't think she's meant to. I think she's meant to be there because she's pretty.
Well, and
I'm sorry, but that tends to be the state of Hollywood casting, unfortunately.
Honestly,
quickie problem number two, we already touched on the potential that Shredder ends up being her dad. Weird.
No,
quickie problem number three, Shredder's like a fucking ninja overlord that's part like Ra's al Ghul ripped from Batman and like part fucking, goddamn like what's his face from Spider-Man, Harry Osborn, in a fucking science, like, it's needlessly complicated. Your villain is needlessly complicated for no reason. And quickie problem number four, and it may just be because this is a teaser trailer and we're not meant to see much, and this is tying back to what I said earlier, why it's worse than a Transformers trailer / movie to me, is the director, Jonathan Liebsman, has a tendency, if you remember his other fantastic films like Battle Los Angeles, of doing those quick fucking action sequences where you hardly ever see the CGI villain. Like the fucking alien just like pops out, hits a motherfucker, and then like the alien's not in the rest of the shot. It's the person like flying across the screen, because it would obviously cost too much money to have the alien on the screen for more than like 1.2 seconds at a time. And I think that's the reason he was hired, is because that type of action, it excites morons, because they're like, ooh, that was a really quick, nice shot. But then they don't stop and think about the fact that they didn't actually see anything. Mm-hmm. And that's what this trailer had. It had a bunch of shots of like ninjas being thrown across screens and stuff, but you don't actually see like the turtles hit them. And I think that's meant to work on two levels. A, it saves the studio a bunch of money from animating the shit, and B, it excites morons who think it's a good action sequence, and it's not. It's not a good action sequence at all. And at least the Transformers movie, they spent millions upon millions of dollars to have glorified fucking like fight scenes where they're very obviously animated on the screen, and it took them like months and months and months to do the shots of the transformations because there's so many moving parts and shit they had to animate.
And they actually made sure that the transformations would work.
Yeah,
that was brilliant. They didn't have to do that, but they did.
It's like a complete reversal from that. It's like, hey, we're going to spend the money to make it look good and animate it right, to we're just going to be lazy. And again, this is a teaser trailer. Maybe we're not meant to see much of them. Mm-hmm. But he in the past, he's done movies like that where everything's just a quick fucking, you don't see the animated monster because it would cost too much money.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't like that. I think it's bad filmmaking. I think it's lazy. I mean, it obviously works for budgetary purposes if you're making a low budget flick, but I just don't like it. It's shaky. You don't really, like, at the end of the scene or the end of the action, you don't really know what happened because everything moved so fast on the screen that you're just kind of like, oh, okay. It must have been exciting though because it was moving fast.
Well,
just like,
here's
let's look at this guy's list of accomplishments.
Hold
He
on.
has Battle Los Angeles.
Hold on one
He has
sec.
Wrath of the Titans. He didn't even do the first one. He did the sequel. And while I haven't seen it, I can't imagine that the sequel to Clash of the Titans was much better or even as good as the first one.
Clash of the Titans
The
was
one
fun.
movie on his list that I actually saw and somewhat enjoyed was Darkness Falls, and even that's not a terribly fantastic movie.
Well, here's looking at the trailer. You're right. Not a whole lot is shown there. Like I said, the fact that TGRI is referenced, that made me really happy. I will give credit to that action shot that they show where I think it's Raph being thrown into the SUV. Sorry, that's just a really cool, badass way to use that one of those kinds of characters.
And that's one of the only shots in the trailer with a turtle doing action that you actually see him for an extended period of time. The only other time you see them extended is when they're just standing in front of April talking to her.
Well, right, and if they start the movie like the cartoons and all the other stuff, at first they're really quiet and silent and things just kind of happen. Kind of like they did in the very first movie where you don't see them, it's just things happen and then it's over. But the part that really, where I was like, oh my god, this is a Transformers movie, is, if I'm not mistaken, it happens 3 to 4 times where you get the slow-mo, and it's got the Transformers sounds in it and everything. It's like a 2-minute commercial, and Transformers audio and visual effects are referenced at least 3 times in that trailer.
Well, it is a Michael Bay production.
I know.
It just the thing.
It's gonna get ruined by slow-mo.
Well, I mean that's the new. Unfortunately, when you talk about popcorn movies and Hollywood in general is just intellectually bankrupt. I was reading an article the other day about how the top grossing movies of the past couple of years have all been remakes in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. There's nothing new. There's no new material, and when it is new, nobody wants to go see it because they're so goddamn stupid. They'd just rather see a reboot of something they watched when they were 10 than give something new a chance.
Well, and the industries right now, or the movie industry is following the gaming industry. This has worked before. Let's do it. It's too scary to throw money at something we don't know if it's going to work.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean that's the nature of anything involved. When a lot of money is at stake, if it involves a lot of money, people are gonna follow formulas. This worked, let's copy it, and that I mean, look at The Matrix. The Matrix showed us bullet time, and then that shit was in everything. It was in a fucking Korn music video. I mean,
yes,
and it just
Wait, what's the Korn music video before or after?
It was after.
It was after? Okay.
Yeah, The Matrix was 19... It came out right before it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the album came out before The Matrix, but then the video for the song came out after The Matrix.
Oh, okay.
So it was right there with it. But yeah, I mean, there was a trend where for years, every movie had to have bullet time. I mean, they don't do it anymore because it's not... And then Underworld came out and it had the slow-mo flipping off walls and shit and bullets hitting tiles and going tink, 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 and you see tiles and shit breaking. And then that was copied throughout every movie for a good period of 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And it just someone finds something visually that's striking or kind of unique, and then it's in every fucking movie, and they beat it until it's beyond a dead horse. And then they find something new and move on. And it's the same in any other, big budget popcorn genre, like horror. Horror finds its thing, which lately has been found footage bullshit. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I've not seen any of the Paranormal Activity movies. I've heard they're good, but I just, I watched the Blair Witch Project. It bored the shit out of me. Why am I going to give another one that's like it a chance?
I really enjoyed where those kids gain superpowers.
See, found footage can work. It can work.
Oh, fuck, what was the
I
name of that
really
movie?
liked Chronicle.
Yeah,
that's the one you're talking about. I really liked that, and I think that's probably going to be a better version of Akira than the live action version of Akira that they're working on, because it sounds like it's just going to be terrible. But Chronicle's essentially pretty much kind of sort of the same plot.
Yeah.
And it worked really well, and it can work really well if you've got a skilled director that's not
An idiot.
not so much worried about, like, is this gonna copy every movie out there? Like when you had JJ, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but when you had JJ Abrams do Cloverfield, I thought that was interesting, a found footage monster movie, because
That makes sense.
We've done monster movies to death. The only way to reinvent it is to find a new take on it, and doing it through found footage, I thought was a smart choice. And I think a lot of people hated it because you never get it. The point of a monster movie is to see the big old monster smashing buildings from like a fucking third person zoomed out omnipresent viewpoint. And I'm like, but they make those movies, and they've made those movies for years.
And
like,
they don't really do very well.
I like a new one.
A perspective.
Yeah, they
from
don't do well
audience.
anymore. Although I think it's coming back, because you had Pacific Rim, and
Which
Pacific
did a
Rim was,
great job.
that's the first thing in a long time. It was like, hey, we have the technology to make this good, and we're gonna giant fucking robots and giant fucking monsters. Yeah. And as cheesy as that movie sounds, and it is pretty cheesy, it was really fun, and I own it, and I like it.
Am I going to say that it's like this phenomenal piece of like art? No. Is it fun like?
I mean,
smash 'em up
not every
movie?
film is meant
Yes.
to be a film. I think some films are just meant to tell you a good story and entertain your eye holes for a while. And I think like everything I've seen so far for the new Godzilla, I think I'm going to like the hell out of that movie. I could be wrong. It could be terrible. But
the new Godzilla looks like it's going to be interesting, and it appears to be that it's going to be one of the first times where like the first half of the movie is like this is happening, and we don't get to see anything, or we'll see like stuff on a screen or things like that. Not a whole lot of like the outward and watching Godzilla do things, and like those guys dropping from the sky, and you see the spikes in the cloud. I think it'll be a lot of that at the beginning, and then near the end of the movie, that's when like shit goes down.
I haven't watched it, but supposedly there was footage at like a convention or something that they showed of Godzilla fighting another monster in the movie, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even know that was going to happen.
They've already said Mothra's going to be in the movie. Mothra and
Fuck
somebody else.
yes. And I'm stoked for this movie, like more than I probably should be. And they know how to get to the fanboy in me, because they've already there's a website, you probably know about it because you're nerdy like me, Entertainment Earth, that sells a bunch of like toys and comics and shit like that.
I've heard about it.
They have they posted on their Facebook a few weeks back that you could go ahead and pre-order some of the toys. They have a 2-foot tall Godzilla toy. I kind of need it in my life.
They I feel like they've already made. I feel like they've already made the nod to the nerds with Godzilla 2000.
Yeah. I mean, that's for the like hardcore elite. Like,
but that
we will never abandon the old man in suit films.
But that that movie was still rated ridiculously high. Like it was surprisingly good, not out of fandom, but the fact that like it is actually a good movie. I think this movie coming out is Godzilla is something most people know about. Hell, I think kids are still growing up on it because it's like Power Rangers. But the fact that this is the adult version of like the nod to the nerds. All right. Let's
I don't know that this one's supposed to be a nod to the nerds. I think
it's
this
an
one.
adult version
I think this
to
one
that.
is kind of like it's taking a similar approach to that really crappy one they made with Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Except where the Matthew Broderick one was kind of like, we're going to take something that a lot of people liked, and then we're just going to ignore all of the reasons that they liked it and make a movie based on that.
Which, if I remember, that movie still, if you took Godzilla's name out of it, that movie wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, as a movie, it's not like god awful terrible. I mean, it's like if it were like $2 on DVD, I might pick it up just because it's cheesy fun every now and then. But it's definitely not like I need this in my collection. But as a Godzilla film, it's fucking terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Like with the name Godzilla on it, it's just fucking terrible. Then it has like Godzilla babies at the end. God damn it. But like this new one, it looks like we're gonna do it new. We're gonna use newer technology. We're probably not gonna go with the same kind of stories and the same approach that they did in the old movies, but we're not gonna like shit all over what made Godzilla good in the process. We're just gonna do it a little different. So I have hope for the new one.
Yeah, I am not disappointed by the way that it looks.
I think the design of the new Godzilla is a lot. It's different and it looks a lot more menacing, but at the same time, it looks enough like Godzilla that, like the one they did in the Matthew Broderick one, it was just so far away removed from Godzilla at that point that I just was like,
yeah,
it's like a mutated T-Rex. Which goes back to the Ninja Turtles design.
Tiny arms.
Tiny arms. The fucking
the Ninja
the
Turtles
design
look
of
like
the
goddamn
Ninja Turtles
Goombas from
is
Super Mario.
frightening. Like they don't look goofy or funny or they don't even look cool. They look scary.
Dude, I know you've seen the meme going around. They look like goddamn Goombas from Super Mario.
Yeah, they do. And I really like, and we've talked about this in another podcast, but I really hate like that they got the marketing team for Hot Topic and Spencer's to apparently put together the outfits. Because instead of hiring somebody who has like intelligence and nuance and knows how to do things subtly, they hired the people that put together posters for like, I guess, Hot Topic to be like, what makes Leonardo? Well, he has ninja swords, so let's make him have ghetto half-ass samurai gear. Well, what makes Michelangelo who he is? Well, he's kind of a bro, so we're gonna give him a turtle shell necklace and some like taped together wayfarers, and it's just like, oh god, could you make these characters any more cliche?
Okay,
like I mean, I know that they have their different personalities, but the way to do that in their outfits isn't to make them look like they're selling fucking clothes to teenagers. I mean,
as an overall, like, I am terrified for this movie, and because we got to wrap this up, I want to leave it at this. I'm terrified to go watch this movie. Does it change the fact I'm going to go watch it? No. Am I as scared of it as I was with Avatar, the Last Airbender? Yes, because it could very easily become that to me. Last Airbender was terrible for anyone who hasn't watched it, but overall, as long as it accomplishes two goals. Number one, as long as it's not completely shit awful. Like, if it has rewatchability, I'm okay. Does it have to cater to my childhood? No, but it has to be good enough to watch again. Two is it has to make a child happy enough that they want the Turtles in their life. Not a teenager. I'm talking about a child, because that's what the comic books were for the teenagers. The cartoons. I
don't know. I feel like this movie's not as aimed at the kids as the first two were. Or the first three, really.
Well, fair enough. But just as long as it gives that like hope and joy in a younger person, then I will be happy with it, because that means I will feel that Turtles would have done their job at that point. And I feel that that's a fair expectation, you know?
It's shit like the new Ninja Turtles movie that makes me finally understand like why old people are so bitter. No, it's because like they're growing up and they're looking at the things we have and they're just like, man, that shit's so fucking awful compared to what we have. And like that's exactly how I feel about this Ninja Turtle. I know that and the new Star Wars movies that I know are going to probably not be good. I mean, Disney may surprise me, but I feel like there's a whole generation that's going to grow up on that, and they're going to grow up on this new Ninja Turtles, and they're going to think it's the shit. I'm just going to be like, No.
Well,
It's fucking awful.
hands
And I
down-
realize that that's just my perspective because I
Hands
grew
down.
up with a different set.
Well, right.
But I think that's a big part of the reason older people are just bitter. And I think
Well-
that's why people get bitter with age.
Well,
Because
I
you just
think-
you see new shit trying to usurp your shit and you're like, mm-mm.
Well, I
No.
think this new Turtles would have been better, and I would be okay with it if the rule has been followed that is being proven right now. A fan has to create it, has to create the new version. The reason why the Avengers is so good is because a fan created it, not a studio.
Although I've heard Captain America Winter Soldier is the best movie Marvel's done. I've read 3 reviews that have said that's better than the Avengers.
Wow. Well, as an overall, a fan has to create it. If a fan's not the one creating it, then it's it's going to be awful. The problem
I wouldn't say that. It's not necessarily that it has to be a fan. It just has to be someone who's willing to listen to fans or willing to adjust. And they've made adjustments on Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
When people were like, "What the fuck? They're from space, really?" Like that shit got changed in almost a heartbeat. And they do have they have Easton working on it.
Yeah. Well, and
So, I mean, I don't know.
Easton did give us the female turtle. That's why I'm bitching now because I watched the trailer and my heart sunk because I just watched a Transformers trailer. That's what scared me. I was really excited for everything, and I'd seen some of the models and stuff, and I was like, okay, just don't let any of that get to you. And then I watched that trailer, and I'm like, it's motherfucking Transformers, and Sandwiches is in it. God damn it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm gonna sit back. I'm going to watch it just like I watched Airbender, and just like I've watched all these other things that I'm a huge fan of, and I'm trying not to build my expectation up because, frankly, if I was to recreate the Turtles, I have no idea what I would do. But
And frankly, it's less preposterous to me than Noah. I just staunchly refuse to go see Noah.
oh, fuck that.
The whole premise of that movie is preposterous to me. I mean, the story in the Bible is preposterous.
Mm-hmm.
The trying to make any kind of film adaptation of it's preposterous. And I mean, I'm as liberal as they come, but apparently the message that Aronofsky's going for is that humanity's a great big pile of shit ruining the earth and that we'd just all be better off if there were less of us. Which I'm kind of inclined to agree with, but the way he does it in the movie is basically the biblical story that, the creator, which is what it's called in the movie and not like God, is apparently some kind of mass murdering psychopath that decides, well, I made these things. I can see into the future and know how they're going to turn out, so I made them anyway. They turned out to be the ball of shits I knew they were going to be, so I'm just going to commit mass genocide on them.
Well, the Bible kind of backs that.
Then repopulate the earth with more of them, and then, throughout the rest of the Bible, I'm just going to commit some more mass genocides just because I don't like them. I created them, knew they were going to be shitty, but I did it anyway.
Yeah, no, that's how the Bible's kind of written.
And weird CGI 6-armed rock monster angels helping Noah. It's just no, I have no desire to see that movie at all. Ninja Turtles, I might go see for popcorn entertainment, but shit like Noah, I just have no desire to see.
Yeah, no, I want popcorn entertainment. I want at least give me Constantine, give me something to where it's this isn't fucking changing the world, but it's fun. I enjoy
I
it.
love Aronofsky's other movies. It's just why Noah disappoints me so much, because it seems like he's trying to have his hoity-toity philosophical leanings that are in all of his other movies, but he's trying to do it in a popcorn big budget action movie that's going to appeal to knuckle draggers. And I'm just, I'm you can't have it both ways, dude. You can't rake in the big budget audience and then try to have an intelligent conversation with them too.
Fair enough.
Because what ends up happening is that you end up doing it through a book that they read, or probably don't even read. They have someone else tell it to them.
Wow, it smells like I shit myself.
But yeah, I mean, it just I have no interest.
Don't worry about it. Anyway, wrapping this.
All right.
So you're listening to the Nerd Method podcast with West and
Chris.
Yay, you got it this time. You can get in touch with us on... Fuck, what's the email? I forgot.
Hold
You
on,
forgot
let me make
too!
sure- let me make sure I know what it is without fucking it up. I have it on my phone.
I believe it is nerdmethodpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. Methodpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, just email us if you want to talk to us.
You might want to re-record that. That's a clusterfuck failure right there.
I think it's a nice intro. I really think it's a nice intro. Oh.